A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to the Vlog-A-Thon 5.0. And now I'm going to explain a few things regarding the past few years that have shown up. They've come and gone, and I'm more than proud to basically be a part of a number of things. I'm more than proud to have some nice growth take place on the channel. I'm more than proud of the many newcomers that have shown up, commented on my videos, smacked the like button. And I really ought to say, the views are ending up back in the thousands, just as they were back in the day. They're probably going to be nowhere near where they used to be, but that's probably okay because I don't see a lot of things changing from here on out. There's all this clickbait and all this politics stuff and all of this traffic. It's getting a little ridiculous, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a few things regarding the last 2 years that have come and gone since the last time I did the Vlog-A-Thon, because a lot of people feel like that I need to catch up on things. So I'll just do that. Since December 2020, a lot has happened. There, of course, was New Year's 2020 to 2021. It just didn't really show much promise. We all know about how 2020 went. But do we need to call it a bad year? Do we need to really say that it's anywhere bad by any means? The only thing that quarantine did was give us the ultimate break from work. It not only did us favors, it did us absolute favors. A lot of us hard workers out there really did not deserve a lot of weird BS. I mean, there's been times where I have been pushed around work and I have really been given too much to do. So many responsibilities. So, knowing that we were supposed to stay at home for a while by the start of 2020, man, it really is a nice wake-up call. To be able to stay home, have some relaxation, we technically deserved it. So why does anybody out there think by any means that it was a bad thing? For that reason, I feel like I'm not capable of giving such big skeptics or speculation by any means. But in terms of what's happened the following year, early 2021, as opposed to early 2020, well, we know what happened in the first week alone of 2021. The worst possible terrorist attack to ever happen on planet Earth. Literally. And I mean literally. If I had any books by Professor Frankfurt of Princeton University, I could basically quote him all day and all night long, like James Rolfe did. But that's not really the case. But that is just my epiphany here. A big epiphany. That I just know that times like these are not going to be much better. But, you know what though? While 2021 was a terrible waste of time, not only for me, but for a lot of people, I lost 3 jobs that year. Good jobs, as a matter of fact. I worked part-time with Kohl's, but that was mostly seasonal, so of course, I couldn't work there much longer. And my main job, which I've mentioned was Marcus Theaters, at the time, I unfortunately got laid off from there too. And that was because the exact chain that I was working with, unfortunately, had been going up and down too many times that a mass layoff of employment had to take place. Not to mention a lot of new regulations had to be put in, especially when the height of the pandemic first happened. I should definitely mention that early 2021, it wasn't just what happened in DC during the first week alone, but with 8 other weeks that showed up. I mean, if I ever had to say anything about the first 3 months of 2021, apart from the insurrection, it would have to be the fact January 16th through February 24th was possibly the worst time to ever be alive. The height of a pandemic. Death tolls ending up in the 10,000s on a mere daily basis. Just think. One day alone, 24 hours, 18,000 deaths happened. That is a lot of people. I can never make this stuff up. That's basically, man, how do I put it together? 18,000 in one day? Like, is there ever an amount of people like that have died without a pandemic happening? Has there ever been a time where 18,000 people have died in one day, regardless of whatever else has gone down? The combination of things like drug driving, drug abuse, rape. I mean, can I ever possibly make this up? No. Absolutely not. Man. But hey, when March came around, I got a new job. Yeah. Hard to imagine that I would actually get a job again after all that time had passed. Unfortunately, it just did not seem like it would work very well. And I'm more than sure that a lot of people out there would know by now exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I got to work with a school district, and it was not pleasant, so to speak. To work with the Hamilton School District, a part of Wisconsin that basically encompasses the likes of such places like Butler or Lannon, just to name a few, but I'm really not comfortable with this. Not even emotionally ready to go through every possible detail on this. So we'll just leave that as is. And then, of course, the months came and went, rightfully so, because the year was already terribly bad enough that I couldn't just bear to go through much further of that part. But hey, one other thing I could probably highlight is the local Super Crazy Spice Extravaganza. Yeah. Which is based on a famous sketch by Rhett and Link. Which, in the sketch, there was a mythical place called the local Super Crazy Spicy Wing Joint. And I basically based my little series of challenges where I eat nothing but spicy foods based on that exact name alone. The local Super Crazy Spice Extravaganza, on the other hand, 15 full days of challenges. Milestone challenges. Now, as I've said before with milestone challenges, those might in fact become a discontinued process after this year. And the same thing might happen with some other content that I've got as well. So don't necessarily expect a lot more to show up on that part. Well, anyways, let's just mention that by the end of the challenge series itself, 15 full days have come and gone, and it did not do so well. I will probably say the worst moment of all in that part was when I went through a vial of scorpion pepper powder. Basically salt, turned into a nice fine powder that I doused in my mouth. The dust spat out. Man, when I exhaled, it went all over the place. The spice was just insane. Not only that, but believe it or not, I practically choked to death. And I couldn't even breathe for a while. Worse on that, my face was burned. My eyes were absolutely scorched in flames. I was just blind for a while. And now I feel much better for the most part because it's been a while since that happened. But the main point is that I just did not understand it. I could have freaking died that moment. Yeah, August 23rd, 2021 could have been my literal death date. After all I've worked for, after all I've basically done, there was just absolutely zero reason for me to die on that spot. But yet, it was so close to happening. Probably this. Asphyxiation, burning, and possibly a lot more could have showed up. Thankfully, I somehow managed to survive that. But that same day, I nearly choked on my own saliva. So that's twice in a day. Twice in a day. Can anyone ever make this stuff up? Certainly not me. As the person who has definitely witnessed this stuff, I got no reason to make stuff up by any means, and any other thing I could mention on this is, well, not a whole lot. The challenge series came and went. That's just all I got to say about that. As for the rest of 2021, well, apart from a surprise trip to Carolina, the one and only time that's ever happened that year, 2021, and then of course there was a move to Oregon that I did, a bit of a trial to show that I could do very well with my finances with my peers. So, thankfully they did understand what I was willing to do. By the time I ended up coming back all the way here to Wisconsin, nearly a month later, yeah, a lot of stuff has definitely happened then. I helped my own brother get a PlayStation 5, spent an entire day, sacrificed a lot of my free time to ensure that I could do just that. By the time we did though, man, the rest of the year was just an unbelievable, antagonizing moment. I had such a big December in my life, got a lot of good stuff, pretty much. So I was more than thankful for people out there who were able to help support me in any step of the way. But just to know the fact that I had almost died 4 separate times within the year of 2021, it is just unbelievable. That is actually one of a good amount of reasons that I've put together. You could basically check a 2-hour-long testimony video that I made at the time, the end of 2021. It just simply shows 1 year basically ends. 1 year it's just unbelievably, terribly bad. But as for this year, from January 1st all the way to today, it's been so much better. We have a lot of less concerns over the pandemic, and then of course, with a good abundance of other stuff that's happened, safe to say, we got challenges for this year as well. And I'm sure that 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, and otherwise will probably have challenges of their own for us to conquer. This year alone, with the likes of such things including inflation, war, an overturning of a huge important thing for all of us to have access to at all times. I mean, again, this is just the thing. Every year has had its own distinct series of challenges for us to overcome. So, after all this said and done, the last 2 years have been quite a ride. 1 year was really bad. This year has really redeemed itself. And 2020 sure has turned out to be rather good in my eyes, because a lot of good things have happened that year, and I just cannot possibly ignore any of that. In 2021, there may have been good moments that I probably won't forget about, but with all the terrible stuff that has definitely happened to me, for sure, that's why I'll never truly forget anything like that. Good people I know have died, not just from the pandemic, but from other stuff. And so, this basically is the end of this part of the Vlog-A-Thon. And I'll definitely have more stuff to talk about soon enough. So make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side if you'd like to see more on the channel.